All right, everyone, welcome to the first episode of Views from Drew. I'm your host, Brizzy. These are my co-hosts. I don't like that word because it makes it sound them less insignificant. These are my other hosts. On the top left, not sure how it's going to be displayed. Christian, aka stretch him out. Um, Eric,
Nigga messing up the intro. Jesus, Eric.
yeah.
Jesus.
The
I
one
don't think you
laughing
should have hosting
uncontrollably is
duties
Eric.
anymore.
On the bottom, we got Snippin, we got
Oh
Dellz.
shit!
Um,
Oh shit!
just a little, just a little backstory. We all grew up in the same. We all grew up in the same building. The Drew Hamilton Projects, hence the name used from Drew. How are you gentlemen doing today?
I'm okay.
Stretching?
Had to stretch.
He's stretching to stretch
I'm
him out.
tired, but I'm good.
Yeah, Eric's sleepyhead. Dellz, how are you?
I'm good. I had a day of work, but I'm here.
Okay.
I
What do
can't
you do
even
for
hear.
work?
You can't hold yourself?
I said, what do you do for work? I said.
Oh, I work at a secret location and I manage the building.
Nigga, please, you work for UPS.
Really?
Yeah, I don't want
Manages
people
the
to pop
secret
up where I
location.
work.
All right,
Say a movie theater.
Whoa.
Edit that out.
I won't.
I work for Cinemark Theaters.
Oh yeah, Cinemark. Yeah, it's good.
Catch me if you can.
Now we know where that nigga work.
Since we're on the topic of how we're doing, let's start with mental health. How's your mental health going, gentlemen? There's a lot going on in the world. We recently had the shooting of Deshaun Wright out in Minnesota, Brooklyn Center. There's a lot going on in the terms of the minority, black, brown community. How you guys feel?
I like the podcast voice he got on right now.
This is how I normally
Continue.
talk.
Answer the question with that?
You
Like, are you gonna?
elaborate at all on the podcast?
Just talking real slow and enunciating every word and syllable and speaking like this.
Okay, so you're gonna elaborate?
I hate to be that guy.
Back to your question.
BJ is Dante, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Dante.
Said Deshaun.
Right.
Oh, I said Deshaun.
Yes.
Oh, my apologies.
I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was Deshante at first. I had to go double check that. I don't know why. That's what I heard when I woke up this morning. But yes.
Apologies to the young man and his family. Our
Yes,
condolences.
condolences
of
to the
course.
family.
First and foremost, but mental health. I mean, it seems like every week something like this happens, and at least for me, I try not to engage it anymore. I don't even watch the stories, the videos, act like it doesn't exist. It's just overwhelming, and it's very triggering for me. So I don't do it anymore.
What happened?
We're not laughing at you. I promise we're not laughing at you.
Look behind.
Just look over his left shoulder.
Hey.
BJ's got to be a parent. He has such a beautiful family, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, indeed.
Such a beautiful family. It seems like yesterday the girls were babies, but they still are. But,
You say you forgot where you were? Oh. Well,
lock that door.
That was my child. Yeah. You guys are started in here.
Well, mental health wise, I feel like America is it's an apology from
You're too low.
Yo,
It's
yeah, I
always an
cannot hear
apology
you.
from white America, and it's never action taken. So mentally, it's just exhausting to hear accident, 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 and
Or he should
there's
have
never,
complied and
yeah, there's never any accountability held. Um, and that's too much.
I agree.
Yeah,
What do you mean by there's never any accountability held?
Oh, sorry to interrupt the podcast, but Doge is currently at 10 cent. Oh.
yeah, we saw.
But accountability. Yeah. There's never any accountability taken on the police departments. It's
So,
always
Dellz, can you elaborate on what you mean by that? How you just get distracted by whack
because
Doge?
this is
Doge is
life and
whack.
this is how okay. We'll come back to that.
Coinbase IPO is coming tomorrow, so all the damn crypto stocks are all going crazy. But Dellz, back to what you were saying.
Good point.
Look, Eric knows his shit. Um,
Always, brother.
accountability. Accountability is more so basically accountability for the police. It's never, oh yes, that person did that. Let's fire them. Let's take them to court. This, and that. Like it's never. They're never held to the standard of a regular person or a civilian
Like
or even a freaking doctor.
if,
When you even think about it, if a doctor killed you, you could get sued.
And get your license, yeah, suspended.
Yeah,
You
like
can't practice
you could lose everything. But if a cop kills you, it's desk duty, have a job, you're suspended, there's an investigation, and then you go back to work. Like,
Same.
if I could
Because we
add
get
on to that,
paid
like
leave. Paid
the
leave.
True.
impetus of change and the impetus of what could have happened differently is always on the victim. Like it's never like question what the officer could have done differently in the situation, how they could have handled it differently. Like, and it's like even like the latest excuse of, oh, I didn't know that I wasn't using my taser. Like it's unacceptable at this point. Like this is an individual from what we've read and like what we understand that's like a veteran on the force and is like a training officer. So it's like
Mhm.
25
if
plus
you don't
years.
know the difference between firing a handgun and firing a taser, you shouldn't be like that's like I know that's something that cops are trained on. Like that's like going like I put like a little stupid thing on Facebook today. That's like going to like a pharmacy and you go there getting prescription
I
aspirin
saw that.
and they give you a handful of Percocets. Like
Fact.
who doesn't know the difference if you're a cop between
Right.
the like a handgun and a taser is unacceptable.
Stay woke.
I agree.
Right.
Soundbite made me laugh too. And I have to get used to this caster,
It's funny.
but it's just tiring. Like overall, man, it's maddening. Like how many people of color got to die by the hands of police officers before it's like any type of change enacted on their end. Like I'm just sick. Like it's my mental health. Like I'm good overall, but it's like I'm just real tired. Just like reading all these trauma stories about somebody getting shot unlawfully because of the mistake or the actions of a officer that's caught up in the moment. Like you got to have a little bit more. And I understand it's a tough job. Like I'm not trying to say that an officer
It's
doesn't
not
have
easy.
like it's not an easy job. Like their lives are on the line, and I do know that there are good cops out there that do their job properly or whatever have you. But situations like this, it's like it's never questioned whether the cop could have done something differently. And it's like it's just real maddening to keep reading these stories. And it's like you see people that's like, well, if he would have, if he didn't resist arrest, he wouldn't have gone through this, or if he would have complied, he would have gone through this. Like even if a person doesn't do that, they don't like deserve to die. So what's the point?
I like that. Like when you led with the anytime someone unfortunately passes, it's always placed on like what the victim could have done differently versus what the cop could have done differently,
Yeah, but
and it's
the
like
the crazy part is we've seen two examples of that. Like with Quran, he literally was complying with the cops and talking to the cops and got maced by the cops. Now, then you see Dante, and it's like, well, that was a little bit more because he tried to evade arrest. Like they stopped him, they pulled him out, and he tried to run. But like even when you do comply, is not enough. So like what is enough? Like enough is never enough. So like it's like what can you do to avoid that situation?
If I'm at
So,
risk of dying, I'm going to take my chances getting away.
You're always at risk.
I don't feel no shame in saying that.
so what do you guys think is the answer, quote unquote, to making it better? The relationship between police and the community. Like, if you can't trust the people that are supposed
There
to,
is no relationship between police and the community these days. I feel.
I agree with Eric.
I feel
Like
like they're
community
I can
just
agree with
policing
that.
is
in the community. They're
I can agree with
intruders.
that.
They don't know the community members. They're not connected. Like there's no relationship where it should be the opposite. Like the community members should know who the cops are. They should walk in and not feel in fear of cops or anything like that. Like it's supposed to be a connection there, but that's not what it is. Like when we
like, I
think of
can
cops,
honestly say that when we were younger, cops probably knew more people because the same cops would patrol the same areas when
yeah,
we were younger. Now you get a freaking rookie every other freaking week, and it's like they don't understand the situations that they're in or the places that they're put into, and it's different. They just react because they are scared for their lives. My thing is, if you're scared for your life, don't take that job. Like I can't be a freaking pest inspector and be like, oh, I'm scared of rats. Like how am I going to do my job? Like I
you
can't.
can't.
It's
I agree.
ridiculous.
It's out of hand. Um,
To answer
so
your
do,
question, we need police reform. The whole system needs to be changed, man.
so are
This shit has been
you?
going on. It's been the same way for years. And look at what happens every year, every couple of weeks, almost every other day, basically.
Yep, it's like
A
every
black person or a person of color is getting killed, harassed, or something by the hands of police. Why is that the case? And 8 times out of 10, it's not a situation where said person is being a criminal or doing anything criminal. It's always the cops escalating a situation where they put their hands on somebody and they end up dead or in a precinct or in a cop car, most of the times for no reason. When from the jump, if it's a situation where the cops are communicating with people, things won't escalate and happen the way they do.
So how do you
But
feel?
we
Do you
need
feel like it's a society wide thing with police, or do you feel like it's society's handling of minorities? Period.
Oh,
how cops handle minorities. I mean, there's a bigger conversation about racism and all that, and how they fear us. That's a whole nother topic.
I think it's both. I think it's both
Say
because
well.
you have to understand like policing like that populate the population of people who are policemen and women. That's like a microcosm of society within itself. So they have like societal rules and codes that they live by and whatnot. Like it's it's interesting. Like when it comes to like cops, like they have a saying. I think that once you put on a uniform, like you become blue. Like you have to hold up to like standards of
Yeah, no,
like you have
that's
to hold up to like standards of rules of being a policeman or a policewoman. Like you have to back your fellow officers or whatever have you. Like you have to show solidarity in some situations. So it's like a standard that they have to live up to, and if they violate that standard, they could be ostracized and in danger as well. And I'm not saying that as an excuse, but I think that's like that type of society like perpetuates some of the things that happen against minorities too. So like
All right.
it has to change not only from like a legislative position, but it has to change from within too and how they treat each other also.
So
From the ground up.
being on the topic of society and minorities, recently an NFL quarterback from the Houston Texans, Deshaun Watson, which is where I probably got the mixed up in names. Again, condolences. I'm sorry. Deshaun Watson is currently going through, well, I think at last count was 21 sexual assault cases. Again, believe the victim before anything else. Um, Most respect to their victims in the situation until the truth comes out. However, the timing of these cases is pretty peculiar to me because beforehand, before he requested a trade from the Houston Texans, he pretty much was known for how squeaky clean his record was and how he managed to stay out of trouble. He was, the model athlete, things like that. But as soon as he's like, hey, I don't want to be a part of this team anymore. I don't want to talk to anybody in upper management about, extensions, things like that. All these accusations dropped out of nowhere, clear blue. Any thoughts on that?
Pretty much summed up my thoughts. I could say that. Like,
Yeah, I mean, pretty much the
I
same.
believe, like every accusation should be taken seriously and it should be investigated to the letter of the law. But I would be lying if I didn't say that the timing was suspicious. Like he wants to leave Houston, and then out of nowhere, all out of the blue, all these women come forward accusing him of like sexual assault. It's I'm not saying that like as I'm on
It's
his
not
side or whatever.
unbelievable.
It's not. You're right. It's not out the realm of possibility, but at the same time, like it's just wild to me. Like as soon as he wants to leave, all this stuff comes to the forefront, and it's like evidently been happening since like the season before last. So
Mhm.
like
So what
if
was happening with the cases beforehand?
right,
That's the
Right,
question that I think
varied.
like
question
did the
that should be
organi-
asked.
I got a bunch of other questions. Like did the organization know? Like did the team owner know? Like does the Houston Texans know
My
more than what they're letting on? Like
my, my biggest thing is right. So someone that's done this with 21 people did not
That's a
start
pattern.
a season ago. Like, hey, I could get away with this. Like, that's my biggest thing. Like, if he was doing this just for 2 seasons, it's like no, because obviously
It's not
he's
something
been
you just
getting
like start.
massages. Like, this is not new. Like, oh, I get a massage. Like, he's an athlete. He's getting massages, and it's like, well, now all of a sudden he feels like I'm gonna just
Especially if
disrespect
you have
everybody
like
that goes.
21 cases, that's not just like, hey, I just started this out the blue.
Right?
This
Yeah.
is
Like,
obviously a habit, and
it's something that he's mentally. If it's I don't want to take anything from the victims, but like that's if someone feels that way, that is something in their brain that's triggering them to say, "I'm going to do this." Like I'm
and it should be
I'm going
addressed
to use
immediately
my power. Like
versus later.
it's not like he's just now becoming a superstar. He's been a superstar. It's like it's not new. So it's like, oh, we're just going to say the last 2 seasons he's did this. So even with that, I'm just like there should be further back cases from further rather than oh yeah 2019 2020 season he did this like
And I think it kind of goes hand in hand with cancel culture. So it's like immediately before we even get the facts, things like that, it's already like, nah, he's done. We already got the
It's a
accusation.
trend.
It's like guilty and proven
Hashtag cancel.
proven innocent.
Cancel this person.
So it's like before we even get the facts, people are already like,
there's
he's
no such thing
canceled.
as innocent until proven guilty anymore
No.
because of social media
right,
and the
like
world.
everything is so black and white, and it's
Yep.
like I have no like I'm not gonna pass judgment on this individual because I don't know what went on in those behind those doors
Again,
of
yep.
whatever masseuse he went to visit or whatever have you. Like I understand like we need to take the accusations of anybody that comes forward and anybody that says anything like this incredibly serious. We need to listen to them. And I'm willing to say statistically, when sexual assault victims come forward, statistically speaking, they're not lying most of the time. Like it's like an 80% or something like that. I remember reading this, but I did like a podcast on it earlier, like last year. It's like 85% of sexual assault victims are usually telling the truth. With that said, because of that 15% or whatever have you, approximately, people happen to lie. Like acknowledging that is not saying that these individuals are lying. It's
Right.
admitting the possibility that it could be a lie, which is why it's investigated in the first place.
And I 100% agree that possibly some of these cases are definitely true, and he definitely did them. However, 21, I don't know. I mean, I'm all for just wait for the facts to
Investigate.
come out.
Yes.
Right.
So
I wait for the
I
legal
don't think it's
system.
21 unconsensual cases.
That's a lot.
That's my thing.
That's a lot.
Like, I don't think every case is like unconsensual.
He's like
But
if that was the case, he's essentially a serial fucking rapist. If that's the case,
yes, exactly. And if you're a serial, you do that
21
longer
is like,
than 2 seasons.
And if he's guilty, put him under the jail.
and that's not to say that
Yeah.
one is okay.
Oh, yeah.
Like
None is okay.
Like,
That's not
and
cool.
none of them are okay.
Deshaun
Like, that's like
Watson,
a
that is
pattern of
not
abuse.
cool.
21 women, like, that he's been able to do this to. That's a pattern of abuse, and that needs to be addressed. And
True.
I just find it wild, like, that
But to me,
he was able to
that
get
goes
away with
back
it for
to,
this long.
They had to be covering it up. Like, they had to be. And
like, that's my thing. Like, I don't know if the Texans organization know more than what they're letting on or whatever have you. And now all of a sudden that he wants to leave, people are letting the cat out the bag. Like, it's just nuts to me that we've even gotten to this point because he wants to leave.
That's what it appears to be. I mean, we don't know that. That's what it appears. We don't
Right.
want to.
I don't know anything. I'm waiting till the legal system does its job. I just want it to be known that as far as like the potential victims, I take their accusations incredibly seriously, and they should be heard. And I don't think any undue judgment should be passed on them just because they're accusing a professional athlete.
right. I mean, my thing with
Do live in a
sexual
society where,
abuse cases or anything like that is more of a like, you don't know how the other person feel. Like, I could be doing something and I think I'm not doing something and I make them feel uncomfortable. So like, you're granted to have
and
that.
they might not voice it immediately.
Yeah.
because they might not feel safe.
Exactly.
Not feel safe.
I feel like people, when people are in power or like have a higher pedigree than you feel lesser of a person. And that's just that. So you feel like even if you do say something, it's not strong enough to be like, oh, until you have, let's say, 21 cases. And it's like, well, now we have numbers. So now I feel safer in the numbers.
That could be the case with what's going on right now as well. But I feel like, at this point, it shouldn't take up to like, all these cases for somebody to find the strength to, voice some misdoing. You know what I mean?
My thing is, it shouldn't take for him to say, I'm leaving, for these cases to be like, okay. Like, it's literally like, I want to leave. So here are these women. Like it's
a trap.
That's the nail. It's like, why now? Like, what changed? What gave you the strength to be like, oh, he did this to me? And in my head, I'm like, somebody from the organization went to them like, yo, we'll make sure you're protected. And then that's that.
I mean, if that's the case, right? Like, hypothetically speaking, let's say like the organization did do that. Good on the organization. That's what they should be doing if they know that all of this stuff is happening. Like,
yeah, but they should be doing that from the jump.
Right. They shouldn't be doing that just because they want him to stay put. It's like the intention of it all, if that's what's going on. Yes. Like, hypothetically speaking.
I definitely heard that a whole completely different at first. I thought you were saying like good on them for hiding it. Like, oh
no. If they're hiding anything of this magnitude, then whoever's owning it, if they're hiding anything, absolutely not. That's not what I'm saying at all. If the Houston Texans organization has been proven that they were like hiding all this stuff and sweeping it under the rug, whoever owns that organization should be forced out of the NFL.
And anyone who's known about it.
Right. Like, if we could get Donald Sterling's old racist ass out of the NBA, we could kick Bob McNair out for hiding sexual assault. Like, that's easy. That's a given. Like, we could get rid of him. Exactly.
All right. Speaking on athletes, slow jets. Um,
Hold on, let me not start that again. Oh my god.
LeBron James power moves. Deli, you want to get us going on that one?
Oh, so LeBron James has been doing a lot in the last 7 years. The school. He recently.
Thomas Academy.
He recently became a part owner in the Red Sox.
Mm-hmm.
Space Jam 2 is coming out. I don't know how you feel about that. He has a production company. Like LeBron does a lot. Like he does a lot.
His fingers in a lot of different pots.
He has his fingers in a lot of jars.
Wait, before we go any
And
further,
I just wanted to know you guys' take on that.
how do you
Like,
guys feel about
how do you
Space
guys
Jam 2?
feel about it? What?
Space Jam 2.
How do we feel about it?
Yeah, what do you think about the trailer?
So I was on Facebook and somebody put up a post that it should have been Tom Brady, and I am so for Space Jam football movie.
Okay, I've seen that.
I can see that. You know, it
That's
sounds like
different.
That'd be
it is.
cool.
I feel like Space Jam shouldn't just be basketball. Like it should just be sports.
So write a script, submit it.
The word jam implies slam dunk.
Like, I need a Tiger Woods. I need a Tom Brady.
Ain't nobody watching no golf.
I think the Tiger Woods one is a little.
What?
You don't know.
Tiger Woods. We can keep Tiger Woods, man.
You never
Tiger
played
Woods.
Mario tennis, Mario golf?
That's Mario.
It's different when you bring animated characters in it, is all I'm saying.
I'd rather play golf with Mario than Tiger Woods.
Wow.
What you mean? I buy Mario Golf before I buy PGA Tour 2K whatever.
That's true.
Well,
Mario
I'm,
Tennis
Just being serious.
I'm all for different sports being entertained in the Space Jam universe. So I mean, I'm not as excited for Space Jam 2. It looks weird.
Yeah, it's not the same film. I don't like that it kind of ignores the first film.
Yeah.
I don't
like that either.
But maybe that could just be the previews we got. Like maybe when LeBron gets there, he mentions it. Or Bugs Bunny freaking mentions it. Like we balled with Jordan, we'll start a team with you.
But they made it seem like they never played basketball in their lives. And like
I did see that. It does sound like that.
If it's like a reboot,
Yosemite Sam
that I'm not
when he started
watching.
shooting at the basketball, he did that in the first one. So it's like, why are we redoing stuff in the first movie?
If this is essentially Space Jam 1 just with LeBron James, I'm going to be very upset.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I don't like that either. I think it should have been a continuation off of the first one. If we're going to do it that way. That's kind of the same way I felt about Coming to America 2. Like, but it did continue off the first one, but it wasn't necessary.
It wasn't necessary.
I personally like the fact that Space Jam 2 is coming. It's for the kids. Because it's for the kids.
So you're saying you enjoy it for the fact that it's for the kids? But you can't make Space Jam 2 and ignore the initial audience of Space Jam 1.
That's true.
That's like what I don't like. It's like I didn't get the feel that it was a part 2. It's like a whole different movie.
Yeah,
like
you might as well
Space
just again. Technically speaking, it's not Space Jam 2. I don't think that was the title of it.
I think it's called.
I think it is Space Jam 2, bro.
If it's Space Jam 2, then it should be Space Jam 2 if it's not a continuation. That negates the part of 2.
Yeah, it does.
It's called Space Jam: A New Legacy.
Oh,
okay.
Well, that's still acting like Space Jam exists. But then that plays into LeBron like trying to be the greatest of all time again. Like I want to be Jordan of this generation.
Here we go, GOATs. Let's do it. We accidentally stumbled into this. I'm not going there.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord.
So when we say GOATs, right? No, not that.
Yo, this joint really hit. Oh,
When we say GOATs, do you feel like GOAT means
it hit 11 cents? Pause, BJ. It hit 11 cents.
That's wild. Do you mean? Oh, When-
My heart hurts.
Can we have goats of separate
I am
eras?
in pain.
Okay.
Please don't take Advil. Um,
Oh man.
can we have
Wait, hold
goats
on.
of separate eras? Like, can you consider LeBron GOAT of, like, this time frame to this time frame, Kobe the GOAT of this time frame to this time frame, Jordan the GOAT from
Well,
this
you
time frame to this time frame,
But when
so
you say GOAT, you mean like who
all
is
time?
unequivocally the greatest of all time? I get what you're saying, and I'd rather have that conversation because
that should
I think it's
exist.
like too many intangibles to
Yeah,
like have an undisputed GOAT. Like people were saying, like for example, y'all know me, I'm a basketball head, so people say that Steph Curry is the greatest shooter of all time,
Do you
which
negate
I
that?
which I agree. I
I,
agree with
I
it
think
to an
I agree with
extent,
that one.
only
Okay, we could.
because this is an era where there are more 3-point shots taken than any era before it.
but he did that. He did that.
I'm not. That's why I said I agree with it to an extent. I'm not taking that away from him. But imagine somebody like Larry Bird or Reggie Miller in today's era,
With all
where he
that space.
has that
Yeah.
You
with
think
all
they're?
that with that type of spacing and the way that they play the game.
Yeah, like you can't touch anybody
I think
anymore.
Reggie Miller
Right.
would be going off right now.
Like people
Yeah,
are
he
like,
would
oh,
be going off.
like somebody like Michael Jordan who is strong and can shoot a mid-range jump shot, which nobody in the NBA does today for whatever reason. He
DeMar
probably
DeRozan.
averaged like 40 points. He used to get to the line like 10 times a night anyway. In a more physical era, he used to get calls. Imagine the type of calls he would get now.
That's a fact.
That is. Ooh, I like that. Yeah. Um.
But just to play devil's advocate, do you think they would treat Michael like they treat LeBron? LeBron should get more
Absolutely.
calls than he gets. Because it's like,
Absolutely. The way
bro,
that
you're too
Well,
big.
I think they look at his stature and kind of be like,
Yeah,
well, he's
like,
big as hell,
yeah, that's
so we
true.
ain't calling that.
Michael, there is no, I think so because to me, there is no LeBron without Michael Jordan. Like, we don't get that type of, like, Michael Jordan was like the first global superstar of the NBA.
Touche.
Okay.
Like he's like to the point where you never have to watch a basketball game, like especially in that era, but you know
You
who
don't know
Michael
who he
Jordan
is.
is. Like I think LeBron is there, but
He
I don't think
definitely is
he's
there.
nearly as respected as Michael Jordan.
Yeah, because
Especially,
everyone wants to compare him to Michael Jordan. You can't
Yeah, yeah.
surpass
Do you?
the
I agree with
goalpost.
that. They're two different
But
players,
my
but
thing
I just
is,
think
all right,
they're
so like in 20, 30 years, right? When it's just
Hmm.
like us that seen Jordan, everybody else is, I'm sorry to say it,
when
but you're
we're the old
probably not.
heads. Go ahead, say it. When we're the
We're,
old
we're,
heads, like back in my
already
Everybody's gonna
there.
be
day.
like
We're
LeBron.
there. We're already
They're
there.
gonna be like LeBron.
And we're gonna have to argue in the barbershop. Hey,
We're
you
gonna
don't know what
lose.
you're talking about. You haven't seen Jordan play.
We're
We're
gonna
like that
lose.
now. But
I
Yeah,
mean,
but
me personally, I've never watched Jordan play. I've seen maybe a
you've
handful of
never
Nick
watched
Foles
Jordan play?
games.
you've never watched Michael Jordan play?
I want to be honest. I have
Every
not.
time I went to my grandfather's house, not really my grandfather, but my
I
aunt's
can't
father.
remember that far back.
So
That's
he
my
used to have it
childhood.
on all the time. And I was a child, but I
NBA or
remember basketball was
NBA or
always on.
NBC was my
I remember
life
that. I
at
remember
one
that.
point.
I mean, I used to love playing, live and all that. But like
Like I
honestly, I
remember as a
can't remember. I was more of a to be like my first person that I was like, damn, I love this basketball player.
Iverson.
I would say it's more like Steve
Kobe,
Francis, Tracy McGrady, uh,
early 2000s.
Iverson, obviously Iverson.
Yeah,
Early
Iverson was like our
2000s.
era. But Iverson was our era because we were playing ball and it was like, I'm across the shit out of you.
Hmm.
Iverson was
But
Iverson was our
Jordan,
era. Like he had like the hip hop flow. Like
Yeah.
he used to
hmm
come to the game with the do rag, chains on and shit.
Practice?
they had to change the whole dress code because of Iverson.
That's a fact.
So like that's the kind of I remember more of that than I do remember Jordan. I caught like I memory wise in my head, I
I'm gonna
caught the
send you.
tail end of Jordan.
I'm gonna send you some Michael Jordan highlights tonight.
Well, I mean, I've seen Michael Jordan highlights. I'm just saying,
No,
like from
I'm gonna send
actual.
you. I'm gonna send you my personal mix of Michael
Oh, you
Jordan
got a
highlights.
personal mix.
It's a personal mix.
Oh,
Personal mix of Michael Jordan highlights. The highlights of the highlight. Exactly. That's exactly what you're gonna do. Like your voice will permanently change to that octave after seeing this highlight mix. And then you're gonna greet your wife and kids like, "I hope you have a good day at school," like that type of octave and everything.
Well,
You're
I'm
gonna
more of
go
a.
crazy.
I would say like today, like I'm more of a football fan. I barely watch basketball. It's not till it gets to like playoff time that I really start paying more attention because it's
Basketball,
normally the same teams in the
In the playoffs.
playoffs every year.
it doesn't
So
excite me anymore because everybody plays the same now. Like everybody is a 3-point shooter now. Like we got like centers that play like guards now. There's like the post game is. I wouldn't say the post game is dead, but it's like there's no emphasis on it.
It's rare.
Like
Very
yeah,
rare.
it's rare to see like a big dude like 7 feet even shoot. Like when's I can't remember the last time I seen a hook shot. Like I was having that conversation with my uncle the other day. I was like, why doesn't he just turn over his shoulder and shoot a hook? Like I watched somebody, I can't remember the center's name. It might have been Joel Embiid, who I think is a great post player, but
yeah,
he had a smaller defender on him and he faced up and like he shot a jump shot. And I'm like, bro, you're like 7 feet and you're near 300 pounds. If you don't just back down this little moment,
I
like,
think the last true center I watched play was Dwight Howard.
No, the White
and
House is
he
still.
ain't have no post game.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
which is
don't.
sad.
I think the last true center is probably Joel Embiid, but he's a mixed breed. Like he
Yeah.
Mm,
plays the
I would
post.
say,
He
so
plays
yeah,
the post a
he
lot.
plays the post
He plays the post a
and he
lot.
can shoot.
But he does take his shots, but he plays the post a lot because nobody can stop him in the post.
okay. Who do you think
Niggas
is the most dominant center all time?
all time dominant.
Shaq.
Okay,
I
okay.
was gonna say
Can I
Shaq too.
can I ask a question? You mean like define dominant? Do you mean
You
like
mean like
physically
defense and
dominant or
offense?
Painting, scoring,
Or
and
because
pure
of his
offense?
physical dominance is Shaquille O'Neal and it's not close. I didn't
yeah,
see Wilt play. I didn't get to see Bill Russell play. I know I've seen people try to guard Shaq and they felt him one time and that night they quit. Like it's one of those like, whoa, like this is a big 300-pound dude. He's spinning like this and he just bumped into me. Oh shit, I felt that in my chest. I'm not going to touch him again.
Shaq in his first 5 years was fast as hell.
I didn't realize how fast he was until I seen
He was a
highlights.
cheat code. It wasn't fair for him to be that big and moving like that.
It's not fair at all.
Eric, you got any basketball memories?
No, Eric don't watch
not at
sports.
all.
Eric,
Yeah,
Eric has
y'all
a lot
realize how quiet
of
I got.
yeah,
Got no comment there.
he has a lot of stickball memories. Uh, I'm sorry, Eric, we didn't mean to abandon that. Back to LeBron and his legacy,
What,
over the NBA
what
with
more
the
power
Promise
to him?
Academy, studio. Kevin Durant also has a production company as well that's based in New York, which is kind of what motivated him to come to Brooklyn. I don't know if you
More
guys
power
know.
to him. Our bodies don't last forever. They got to figure out how to make money outside the realm of basketball.
I'm really confused at how Kevin Durant is still playing. I'm being honest
True.
with you. He's
True.
very,
Yeah.
very skinny, and I feel
More
like
power
he
to
would have.
them. I hope they second careers are just as successful as their first careers. So
I
more
think
power to them.
I need Kevin Durant to stop being so emotional. Please, if you hear this, Kevin,
Oh
don't
man,
attack me on Twitter. Um,
attack us
I
on
can't
Twitter.
handle that.
That'll put us on the map. Attack us on Twitter.
Please don't. I don't have fortitude to withstand that. All right. Since we're talking about Doge,
Nah,
what I
fuck
also
those.
That's what got my attention right
time
now,
out,
bro.
time out. What I'm talking about is more so. I would say in our community, financial literacy is not where it needs to be. I'm appreciative that between you three gentlemen that we can have these conversations about finances, things like that, and how to make the lives that we lived better for generation coming up, whether that's our kids or the people that are children that we encounter, nieces, nephews, future children, um, things like that. Um, I want to kind of talk about I want to passive income, things like that. Do you guys have any suggestions for anyone listening that don't really know anything, how to get started? Like just something simple, nothing like options. We can get to options, but let's start off, with the basics.
Talking about stocks.
Yes,
We're talking about
stocks, just
financial
Are you
freedom.
talking about
business,
stocks or just in
whatever,
general? Because you sound like
Anything.
you're
LLCs,
talking about
whatever.
stocks.
We can do
Most
whatever.
anything that goes to financial freedom for the like where to start. Like where can you start?
What do you feel most comfortable
I
starting?
mean, I'll start and I'll say I don't know many options, right? So I looked into real estate, I looked into the stock market,
Okay,
I
come on.
did all this stuff. Uh-huh.
What made you want to look into real estate?
The pandemic and well, probably not the pandemic. It probably was prior, like probably a couple months before the pandemic, and it was more of a I want to own stuff and have stuff pay me.
So
And when
passive
you
income,
look at the
like
stock market, I mean, when you look at the real
Have
estate
your
market,
money work for you.
yes, when you do real estate, your money can work for you. One, someone's always looking for somewhere to stay. It don't matter the neighborhood. It the price matters, and the price matters, right? They get what they get, and someone always needs a place to live. So if you own something that you can give someone a place like a place to live, there's always money there. Like no one's ever gonna be like, I'm just gonna. Everybody's not gonna be like, I'm gonna go live in my car, or I'm just gonna live on the streets, or blah blah blah, under a bridge
so. I
somewhere.
think the main thing that he's talking about. Some people want to live on the bridge. Um,
True.
those are called trolls. Um, some people. The main thing about I think to start about financial literacy, you need to find something that is recession proof, things like that. So people are
Yes,
always going to need somewhere to live. Speaking of necessities, people are always going to need something to eat, drink. So trying to find business in something like that, where like fashion, people. So businesses and things like that, you're always going to see some kind of return because people need that. Do you guys agree?
I agree.
Disagree?
I agree.
Anything that's a
So
necessity of life is
also with
recession.
real estate, it breaks into two different things. You got residential and you got commercial. Do you guys have anything with commercial?
Like,
Any
do we own
experience?
anything
Any
with commercial?
ideas?
No.
No, no.
I
I
looked.
know you don't. Because if you did and you didn't tell me,
I
I would
recently
have a
looked
problem.
into commercial properties outside of New York. Um, but commercial properties are good business because one, if you have commercial space, you can utilize that to do multiple things, right? You can either sell it to someone who's looking to start their own business and need
And
space, or
wait, pause.
pause.
Right now in New York, a lot of business have left or closed. Commercial real estate would probably be a good thing to get into because a lot of businesses are going to return. And
Uh,
here we
pause.
go.
I
I
don't
would
know
say
about that. That's
commercial real estate in New York is not good
Not good.
because of the pandemic. People realize that they can get their business done from home. So, like having a go-to spot is not a necessity anymore,
That's true.
and that's how I feel. So, like
All
commercial
right.
real estate
Thank
in
you.
New York
Thank you
is
for
more
correcting
of
me, sir.
the city trying to save itself. It's
So, what
not
do you think,
something you
Patrick?
need.
Do you think New York is the hub after this pandemic ends?
No, New York is forever changed after the pandemic. New York will never be the same because you can
Guys,
do
I don't
me.
think
whatever
anywhere
you can
will.
do in New
I don't
York.
know about that.
New York's
I
not going to
think
I
be the
don't think. I
same.
think it was.
in a couple of years we'll bounce. New York is going to bounce back to what it
For what?
was
What do you think they'll bounce back for?
because it's New York. Like New York is known to be, the
But
place to
why?
be.
You no longer need to be there to get that business.
I don't
and
know,
that
but
was exposed.
I feel like New York is going to
I
come
mean,
back,
I
but in
think
a
you
different
do.
way. In a different way, it's not going to be the same. It's going to be a lot more, you know, um, internet orders and things of that nature. Like
Yeah, but
the
why
what do you
would
call
you? Do you understand that the taxes in New York is higher?
In Jersey.
To own
The
something in New
potential,
York
but
is higher. Like, why would you
the
need to
potential
be here?
profit is higher. But the
I
potential
get
profit
everything
is
you're
higher
saying,
also.
but I feel like again it's going to come
The
back, but in a
potential
different
profit
way.
is higher, but so like in my head, I'm like, all right, so if you're not a mainstream venue like a Madison Square
Hmm.
Garden or Broadway or
Oh, you got to throw that one
Barclays,
out first.
because I was looking at you. But if
You
if you're
just
not
didn't
a
snitch on me.
mainstream,
This is why.
nobody knows why I looked at you. You could have just shh. But but
Edit that out.
but if you
I won't.
if you're not a mainstream venue, there's no need for you to be here, right? If you're not already established, there's no need for you to come to New York anymore. Like there's no like welcome like red carpet like yo, you got to go to New York to be big
Yeah.
anywhere else. That's
All right.
musically, that's that's business
So,
wise.
so what I've noticed, honestly, with the pandemic, I think it's kind of devalued the allure of New York City. What I've noticed during the pandemic, a lot of people have relocated to the South, where the COVID restrictions were less, were very lenient. So they were able to get their,
And
their
they have more
businesses
space.
off, things
I'm
like
gonna,
that, and they have
I'm
more
gonna.
space, things like that. So when New York, from what you guys tell me, because I haven't been back in a couple of years, um, it seems like a lot of people have vacated spaces. In that absence, lawlessness has kind of taken over. NYPD doesn't seem to want to do their job. So it seems like they're losing control of the city in a sense. Um, people are they're trying. It seems like most businesses have relocated to Atlanta, Miami, Texas, even Cali. Even though Cali's a little bit more strict, people are seem to be going to different areas. What do you guys say about that? Am I
I think
off?
that. I think that. Well, no, I think you're absolutely right. But I agree with Eric with what he said to his point. Like I think it will bounce back because the population demographics of people who just visit New York in comparison to other places, like tourists come to New York. They're not going to places like Atlanta to sightsee or anything like that.
Okay.
Not in comparison to New York.
Yeah.
So I think it will bounce back because of that type of dem. Like
But
nobody's going to like Iowa to look at cornfields and whatnot, whether
oh, no offense to
whether a
Iowa.
business is
No
based
offense to
there or
Iowa.
not. That's the truth. What is that?
Go
That's the
Huskers.
truth, though. Like these other places
No,
don't
that
have.
all right, Chris. So I believe that too. I believe that this will always be a destination for tourists. But
But what businesses like
outside of
Deli said
tourism
on
is
Times Square right now? Most businesses are closed like permanently. So who do you think
Times
is going to come
Square,
take those places?
but Times Square are businesses that can afford to close in Times Square.
I understand it,
Like if
but
you're a
who's going to come
startup or
take over
something like
those
that,
areas?
you're not immediately going to be able to get into Times Square if you have a business.
So who do you think? That's what I'm asking more so. Who do you think is going to move into these vacancies? Who do you think is going to move in? Because a
Other
lot of those
large
places on
companies,
Times Square were
Yeah.
established businesses.
other
So
large
with the
companies.
pandemic forcing them out,
Like
do you think those businesses return, or will it be something new?
they'll either return or it's going to be another large business that takes over that old venue. Like
yeah,
you
but
look at
like
that
what
McDonald's that was
business?
on time.
Yeah, that's what.
Anyone like
Who?
look at that
McDonald
McDonald's
Chris.
that just closed
McDonald's
on
closed.
Times Square, right?
McDonald's is
Right.
closed.
McDonald's.
All right, but they got like 50 other locations in Times Square.
But
That's just the
McDonald's is
McDonald's.
biggest
closed.
one.
McDonald's on
That place
Times
is going to
Square.
be replaced by a large food chain, something
You think
or
A
so?
something.
large food chain
Oh,
or a
what? A
clothing
Chick-fil-A?
store.
I think, in my
Maybe.
But
opinion,
Possibly.
I
but
think tech.
my thing is even with that, right? So let's say Chick-fil-A replaces it. That's
I
still
think
only
Apple
for
comes.
tourism. Like that does nothing for people wanting to live in New York. Like there's no need
More
to
jobs.
live in New York anymore. Like it's not the land of dreams. Like this is not where you come to live your dream at anymore.
A lot
Because
of
your
people getting
dream
Depends
is
on the
invited
everything.
to
dream.
Into the
LA.
pandemic. That's true.
It depends on the
But
dream.
in a few
I think it was
years,
What
happening
dream?
before the pandemic.
that
This has just
conversation is going to
accelerated the
change.
process.
Depends on the dream.
You gonna if you're not coming here to do
Nobody's
Broadway, you're not coming here.
nobody's moving to Minnesota to be an actor.
Yeah, they're going
That's
to
true.
California. They're going to LA.
They go
LA
to
is
LA.
getting a lot of action,
And LA
as
is
well as
similar to New York.
is not.
I think it
Is
is.
the cost of living
No.
how's the cost of living in
Mm-mm.
California?
It's
It's
lower.
more expensive, but it's a whole different vibe in LA. I would never, ever in my life compare LA to New York. After
No,
visiting
you
both
do.
areas,
You do when you don't. You do when you've never been to LA.
yes. Once
Fair
you be
enough.
LA,
I ain't
once you
never
get
been.
to LA,
That's a low key pot shop, but I'm gonna take
I
that
mean,
on
I'm
the
just
chin.
saying.
I
No, it
promise
is.
you.
I'm gonna
Once
take
you
that on the
visit
chin.
LA, that is
And
not New York.
you have
That
never
is
been to
not New
LA.
York
Like, all right,
at
I
all.
haven't. I've been to
LA
Sacramento
is
once, but I'll take that.
not New York at all. It's not even the
It's
same
different.
vibe. Nope. So
It's a different
what?
vibe, but
I think
I really
Atlanta
want to
is
look up
closer
the
to New
cost of
York
living.
than LA.
They say Atlanta's New York in the South,
Atlanta.
so I could buy that.
Yes, Atlanta is closer to New York than LA.
You know what's happening in Atlanta? Well, was prior to all the law changes, but a lot of studios are in Atlanta.
That's
That's where
because
you
it's cheap to
go
film there.
to act.
Movies, music.
That's where your spots are.
It's cheap to film in Georgia. That's why everybody goes
Yeah,
there.
people film in
Exactly.
Georgia. People are starting to record in LA. What does New York have besides Broadway? I think the one thing they can rely on is fashion.
Expensive rent. Wow. Nothing good. I don't
So
think New
He's
York
not
has
lying
anything
again,
though.
good.
let's revisit the original conversation. How does New York recover after the pandemic? Who takes over those spots in Times Square?
This is
Who do
still
you
a
think?
financial hub as far as like Wall
Mhm.
Street and everything. So I think eventually the bubble will grow back to where it was because it's still like the business hub of it. This shit is the business hub of America
Yeah, but you
easily.
don't need to be in Wall Street anymore. You don't have to be there. Like
So
even
you
now,
mean
you
to
don't
tell
have
me
to be
like
there.
ain't nobody making
Dellz, we
millions
get
on
your point
Robinhood,
that
man?
people don't have to do this stuff. It's just the fact that
Ain't nobody
New
making
York has
millions of
always
dollars.
been that, and it's always
Ain't
gonna.
no
I
hedge
think it's
fund
always gonna be that.
like
New York is not
ain't no
always
hedge
going to
But
be
fund
it's
that.
too
advisor
late.
using Robinhood to manage somebody's stocks. They're going to the person and they're managing their portfolio in person. They
Yeah,
trading on Wall Street.
but all right, but it's all
They don't
right. So
necessarily need to live here to do
let's
that.
see. If I went to Charles Schwab's, right? They
Mhm.
have somebody on Wall Street that puts in all. They have people there that puts in all the trades. Blah blah blah. Right? I don't have to go to Charles Schwab's in New York to have somebody put in these trades. The people that's putting the trades are going to live here, but everybody else don't need to be here. And that's my point. My point is more and more people are going to leave because one, taxes are about to go up. Granted,
Mm-hmm.
taxes is going up because of the pandemic, right? People are leaving already because of the pandemic. The more people that leave, the higher the taxes. The higher the taxes, the more people that leave. We're going to go into a loop of
But but
Wait,
but
wait,
but
wait, wait,
my
wait,
thing
wait.
is
That
this.
doesn't make
But
sense to
my
me.
thing is this. Hold on.
The
You
more
said
people
that
that
like
leave, the
that
higher the
wasn't going
taxes.
on. You
Yeah, because
said that like
yes.
it's a smaller
you
pool to tax.
you said that like people like you don't have to go to New York to put in an order. You didn't have to do that in the 90s. You could have emailed somebody. Like
Yeah, but
technology has already eliminated that.
Yeah, but more people wanted to be on Wall Street in the 90s than that are wants to be
yo,
on Wall
Lower
Street
New
now.
York still existed in the '90s than it does now.
Like in the 90s, people wanted to be those people on Wall Street. Now, in the next 2 years, the person that wants to fucking put in a trade is just gonna go and get an app.
Yeah, you got fucking Robinhood.
You have
You got
unlimited apps for taxes.
Nobody's making
Ameritrade.
TD
millions of dollars
Ameritrade,
using Robinhood.
Rumble.
That
It's
Ameritrade.
GameStop
I
jump
agree
off
with you,
bought y'all
Chris.
anything. Nobody
No,
is
I agree
making
you
with
don't
Chris.
have
millions
to
of
be
dollars
here.
off of Robinhood.
And I feel like
I'm
people are waking
Chris
up to the fact that I can get more
by
somewhere
doing it
else.
myself.
No,
Chris,
not
you
You
don't
even
can
think
get
talking
just
stocks.
as much somewhere
Chris,
else.
you
You're
don't
not
think
going to hit the
you
pinnacle of
don't
New
think
York money unless you are here.
There's no one to
no.
sell to if no one lives here.
This is a fact. I don't see it bouncing back. I don't.
Majority
I
of the
do.
population is moving south. and
Because
west.
it's easier, it's cheaper to live in the
It's
South.
cheaper to live. But if you're
Once
doing the
they
same
make enough
things,
capital and get to a certain point, they usually move back to the city.
A lot,
no,
no,
but
come out,
they're
There's
not.
come
only
out,
so
come out,
much to
come out,
do
come
in
out,
the
come out, come
South
out.
recreationally.
A lot of celebrities are moving to Orlando. Orlando's
Because
growing
the
at
property tax
exponential
is
rates right now.
lower. Where do they make their money at?
Well, Chris, you're making
They
a
can
point.
make that
Why
money
would you
from
come back to New York?
Orlando.
They
They
make
don't
their
have to do
money
that in
in
New
New
York.
York and
They
then
don't
live in
have to be in
Atlanta
New
and
York to
live
make money.
places like Atlanta because the property tax is cheaper.
But
They
they
don't
don't.
Exactly.
base themselves out
They
of there
don't have
because
to
they
be in
won't
New
make as
York.
much.
They
But
can
they're not
literally fly
living.
into New York for a day and fly back.
There's no point to live here.
You can afford it.
But there's no
So,
point to
Dellz,
live
I
here.
just want to make this one point, right? We was initially
Okay.
talking about finances,
Yeah.
but you saying people are leaving. I feel like that's just leaving room for people who always wanted to move to New York to come here
But
and
no one
start
wants to
something.
come here.
Because, again, in a few years, New York is going to come back, but in a different way. It may not be the Times Square, everybody come for Times Square type shit, but it's going to be, people are going to come here for a certain reason. Like,
What
For
what
going to
Broadway.
come back
what do
in a
you
different way.
foresee they
I don't
come back
know.
for?
For
I
Broadway.
can't
That's
say
it.
that. I don't know.
If you can't say
I
it,
don't
then
know.
It's
that's the
coming just
problem.
for
In New
Broadway.
York,
I don't
it's
know if
always going to
Broadway
be a big
survives.
tourist attraction because of what's in this city.
I don't know if Broadway
But
survives. I'm be honest.
what
No,
people are
Broadway
gonna,
survives.
what New York is gonna be famous for in
Broadway
the
Broadway's gonna
has
future, I
enough
survive.
don't know.
enough fan base to survive. Broadway survives. I said the same thing about the movie theaters, but the movie theaters survive. Because, people enjoy these things. These are things people enjoy. But outside of that, why?
It's
You
it's
live
gonna
in
be
New
I don't
York.
know.
interesting.
You live in New York. I live in New York. I struggle
There's a
every
social.
freaking day.
I think
But
you're.
we
Every
from
day.
I
the
think
hood,
you're
like
Look at this man.
underestimating.
New York
Look
is
at
different to
I
us. We
think.
don't
I
see New
think.
York the way the
look
rest
at
of the
Barrett.
country,
Look at
everybody
Barrett.
else in New
Look
York.
at Barrett.
I
Look at
think you're
Barrett.
underestimating I
He's
think
living
you're
a great life.
underestimating the social. You're underestimating the social
Right on, bro.
aspect of what's available in
Bro,
New
give
York City.
me.
But my thing, Chris,
Businesses stay open longer. There's more
Chris,
things to do here.
but the social construct of life is now social media. Like I don't need to be social with you in
There's
person
nothing to do in
anymore.
New York.
I don't
I don't
have
Period.
to.
think
I don't
anything
have to
beats
chill
being
with
in
you at
person.
Come
a
out, come out, come
party.
out,
Is
come
that
out, come out,
really
come
how
out,
you
come out, come
feel?
out.
I don't think.
Come out,
I don't.
I,
come
that's
out,
That's how
not a
you
come
feel
out.
in real
problem.
life?
I
Come
don't
out.
have. We don't have to go to the
Pause.
same venues.
Pause. Pause.
There's some
Pause.
truth
You
to that.
don't. But I think you're
Yo,
underestimate like
the
a
lore of New
movie.
York
Watching a movie
used to
in
be
person
its club
hits
scene
way
and
different than
music.
watching it on a screen in your house. And I'd rather
That's what
stay
people
home.
do.
You know that, but it hits differently.
But
You're
that's what
able to
people
do
do.
that more often in New York for a
Do what?
longer period of time.
No,
Do what?
no,
What do you
no,
mean, no?
no. The club
Yo,
scenes in New York are dead.
the club scenes are dead. Dead. No one does that. No
You
one
don't
does that
even
anymore.
live here. How you know
I,
that?
I know. My ears is to the street.
Your ass is in Florida. You telling me what the club scene in New York
I
is?
go.
Because
I
I
go to a
know.
bar before I go to a club. But that's probably because that's in my price range.
You act like that's not the same industry.
It's not.
Clubs and
There's
bars.
bars everywhere.
Kind of not. It's kind of not.
There's clubs everywhere in New York.
That no
But
one go
people
to.
are not going to the clubs.
The point still stands that it's available. That's what I'm saying. It's available.
It's
You
available in
go to
other
somewhere
states.
like outside of Atlanta, they might have their city might be considered 2 blocks. Like you told me this story, like you went to Kansas, for example, and you saw the city in Kansas, and it
That's
was
true.
15 blocks. That was your
That's true.
words.
That's
15
true.
blocks. And I bet you everything was closed at like 10:30.
They close at 11. They close early.
11. Right.
Yeah,
Does
but
that happen in major cities like New York?
no. But my thing is that's
Oh,
not
sir.
That's
needed.
what I'm saying.
It's not needed anymore.
Yo, people are doing that club
Option
scene
is
in
there.
Miami. People
That's
don't
the
care about the
point.
clubs in
The
New York.
option
The
is
same
there.
club scene that you
People
have in
go
New
to
York, you have in Miami.
People do things because they don't like the option of things being taken away from them. Why do you think all those people that lived in New York moved to the South? Because the option of not wearing a mask is available to those people.
No, but people that moved down south still wear masks. I think it was more
Some of
so.
that, not nearly as much as New York.
I wear a mask.
You and you was
On my
telling me
face.
during the
And he
pandemic
live in
I
you
didn't
had
Florida.
say anything.
mad
Hey.
niggas that didn't.
But my thing isn't that I just think the pandemic pushed it. It was already happening. The
It
pandemic
accelerated the
just
process.
accelerated it.
That's what I think.
Like people are already leaving New York because New York, one, if you start a business in New York, you're paying way too much taxes. You start a business in Texas, you know what you're paying in taxes?
Hold on.
DJ,
Let's
tell
go
him.
back. You said
Tell him,
before the
DJ.
pandemic, you felt like people were leaving New
Before
York.
that, yes.
Yes,
I don't know about
I
that.
agree. I agree.
And some of them were moving down south because it's easier to live down south. The cost of
I
living is cheaper.
mean,
Your
usually
culture
it's like that. People from who live in the city, they move down south because it's more affordable. But I don't know.
But I mean, again, I don't live in New York. I don't see it
we
firsthand.
spend a
You
lot
But
of
I've
don't
time.
live in New
noticed
York. Tell us how the
a
club scene
lot,
is.
a lot of people not
DJ Social Media King. I just
from.
want y'all to know that.
Yes, I am.
Don't
People
gas
not
them.
a lot of. You don't have to guess me. I guess myself. A lot of people
Oh,
not
All right now.
minority descent. Let's say are starting to move into the areas that we populated and are kind of raising the property taxes, forcing us out. I don't know if you guys notice, but housing is being brought out by private companies that are going to raise the rent to push you guys out so they can knock those buildings down and put
And
up
they condos.
condos and things like that.
Um,
It's
That's
going to
that's a
happen
it's
fact.
always been
within
a
the next
battle
10 years.
between the city and like those private companies, and I feel like because of subsidies and stuff like that, I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the case.
You don't think
Like
That's
so?
the
gonna be
nicer
the
project
case.
buildings, the towers, I don't think those are going to get knocked down or anything like that. But
That's gonna be the case.
um,
They're not gonna be
they
completely
do
knocked
have.
down.
We obviously see it where they're using up the space around like the nicer complexes to put other stuff there, so that what do you call it? So that money can be made,
They're
and so
preparing.
that nah,
It's preparation.
I
Why
doubt
You
that those
can't.
nicer
You
Eric, what
can't.
do you
complexes.
mean?
You
Nah.
listen. You can't put a Gucci next to a Drew Hamilton and not expect for
You
the
being
price to go
extreme, but
up.
I'm saying, like, think about it. Think about Harlem. Like, they built a school on 1-3. What's that? 1-3 something, 132nd in that area.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're gonna be putting different type of like community,
But that's
That's
Harlem
not for
Children's Zone.
you.
We're not counting. We're not
community
counting that. That's Harlem Children's Zone. Being Harlem Children's Zone. Harlem Children's Zone is trying to make sure Harlem stay Harlem. But other businesses that they're building around, you walked past you walked up 25th? I don't walk up 25th often. 25th is a totally different place,
Harlem
bro.
250 is not what it used to be
What's on?
because it's moving with the
Elaborate.
future.
Come out.
They need
What's
to
on
bring that
25th?
kind of money to Harlem.
So what's on
That's
Well,
not going to save
Victoria's
you.
I'm not
Secret?
supposed to. It's happening.
Victoria's
American
Secret's on
Eagle?
125th.
Yeah, a lot of those
Yes.
businesses
Wait,
shouldn't be
come
Harlem,
out.
but it's
Victoria's
happening.
Secret's on 125th.
Yes.
It's happening. Yo,
There's a
they
lot
put
of
in a
new stuff
Trader
on
Joe's.
125th now.
They put a Trader Joe's
You're
on.
out of here. You're done. Yo, just run. Once it's a Trader Joe's, it's done. Yo,
I
delete.
think they're gonna put it where next to that,
If you see a
to
Whole
an
Foods, it's over.
African
You're
spot
done.
No, we
across
have
from
Already a
Whole
Whole
Foods.
Foods
We
there.
have Whole
I've
Foods.
been a Whole Foods there for like a
But it's
decade.
coming. It's coming.
Get, run.
It's coming.
Sell.
But they're literally
Prepare.
pushing people out.
They're getting you out of there. They're
Yeah,
done.
that's true.
It's crazy. I didn't. Y'all got a Whole Foods.
Harlem
And the
2.0.
population, the
It's not a Harlem
population is
2.0.
going
It's
to
no high.
decrease.
No high. No
Yeah,
high,
that.
so high.
No,
You're done.
no who?
Nah,
Yo,
they call it Noha now. It's something like that.
No high.
The
No
North,
high,
North
yeah.
Harlem.
If I see anybody use that term next to me, I'm gonna punch him in the face.
What, no high?
All right, let's move on to the next topic. That was a long time of a topic.
That was a good one though. We needed to have that break.
Yeah. All y'all,
Um,
everything y'all talked about was good, but you kind of derailed because Dellz is
didn't
fixated.
derail.
You don't need to
it's not
live.
dear.
You
You don't.
don't need to live there.
With the financial literacy topic.
You do not need to live there.
I mean, we
He's talking about you asked about businesses.
He asked
Like,
about
what kind of
business
business
and
do you
financial freedom, and I
I mean,
started
that
on
was
real estate,
early.
and we jumped to.
It's like a full
And
circle.
you jump to basically housing.
We don't need a format.
We don't.
But what else?
It worked.
You done with financial literacy?
Well, let's get to
Oh,
Doge.
y'all got
Doge
anything
be
else?
growing.
Listen, I don't even want to talk
I'm
about
not
that
talking
because I
about
just
Doge.
told you from.
I refuse.
Yeah, I see
I close this.
how
We
my
start
face
talking about
just went.
Dogecoin. I
My
close
face
this
changed.
browser
I'm
right now.
watching this. It was at 12, almost 13 cents, and it dipped to 10. But now it's going back up. I don't even want to talk about this. I'm not
Get
saying
it,
anything.
bro. Jump in.
I did. I'm depressed because I lost a couple dollars just now. I'm sad.
I refuse. I made my
on-
money and I cashed out.
On I guess since we can stay in New York. On the topic of New York, recently we lost the legend Earl Simmons, aka DMX. How are you guys feeling about that? I mean, I think we've all at some point ran into DMX just randomly.
Yeah, it's not really a flex in New York to say that you met DMX. He's always on the street. But
yeah, like I literally ran into him like right in front of Harlem Hospital like twice.
I met him.
I've seen a lot of stories like that. Like people, when they were kids or what have you, they'll see DMX just posted up somewhere in Harlem or something.
Dogs.
Or on a block somewhere, and he's just there like a regular person, chopping it up with people.
Yep.
It's a cool cat. Cool dude. But
you
to
know
your
what
question,
I realized about DMX?
I don't like the fact that media created different type of stories as far as how he passed away. They try to make it seem like it was a drug overdose. They try to do the situation where they're saying that he took COVID. He got the COVID vaccine, and then he eventually died. And then even before they pulled the plug, that Friday he went to the hospital, they was already saying that he was dead. Like, bro, how you kill somebody before they actually dead? Like,
didn't he have
people
a
kill
relapse?
people all the time. What was that, Chris?
Didn't he have a relapse
on drugs?
Yes.
That's the story.
That's what they said.
That's what I remember reading. I
they
think
said that he overdosed on drugs,
and he had a heart attack induced by like his overdose.
Yeah.
When it led to him being in a coma, unfortunately, he had little to no brain activity. But
and that New York, what was it? New York, the Daily News, where that fucking person or whoever that was, the writer, made up this whole shit about him losing his housing and all kind of like bringing up shit that doesn't even matter at this point.
Yeah.
Like to tarnish his name or what have you. Yeah.
Wait,
but that's the media, right?
Wait, Deli, what did you say about what you noticed about his fans?
About his fans?
Yeah, you said fans.
Oh
right?
no,
what you
said no. All I said was that what I noticed was that DMX actually used to pray a lot. Like I didn't know that. I didn't know all those things that he did when he performed were like prayers, but they were literally like unwritten, masterful freaking prayers. Like they were freaking beautiful, and it's just like that's from his heart. Yeah.
A huge Christian, used to read the Bible every day from what I read.
And it's really weird to think of somebody that's like screaming at you all the time to be
that's really aggressive. But I mean, like, I thought of that. It's funny you mention that because like I thought of it the other day as like, is that really any different from like some Baptist preacher or something like that, or some Pentecostal preacher?
It's not at all.
It's not.
But I think it comes because DMX talked about a lot of like street stuff. So it was like a lot of street, but he was also very spiritual. Yeah,
he did. He sure did.
He lived it. Like he has like, and this is no disrespect to like current rappers or anything, but he had like a level of authenticity about himself that I don't think will ever be matched. Like I don't know if you guys ever saw like the Rough Riders documentary, which like really detailed like his like he he used to rob people on the street, right? But there was one thing that like struck out to me that was like super funny.
That's not
He
even
used to
funny.
bring a dog with him to rob people
His
because
dog
he
was
said
always
like
with him.
sending a dog after somebody is like a bullet that keeps moving. And when he said that, I was like, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. But but
But
oddly
maybe
enough, it made
it makes
sense.
sense. It makes sense.
It made sense.
That's
But
aggressive.
he really was a man of the people. Like it wasn't uncommon to see him like on the street chopping it up with fans, just talking to people.
Without
Like
security.
without
Without
right.
security.
Without security, he would just roam like New York
By
City or
himself.
whatever have you, and he would just talk to people
Every time I've seen him, he was literally by himself.
by himself, just chilling. And everybody respected him, and nobody messed with him because they knew he probably had a dog around the corner or something.
The moving bullet. He had a moving bullet,
A
not too
moving
far.
bullet.
That's
But
wild.
listen,
True.
listen, the Lord give me a sign. It's the hardest gospel song I've ever heard in my life.
I was really like just listening to like his
Wow,
clips of him praying like the other night,
that
like
whole
just
that
10
whole
minutes of
song
him
is
praying.
like a giant prayer, and it goes super hard and is mad aggressive. In the name of Jesus. So
All
God
right.
bless DMX, man. We lost a great
Yeah,
man.
Preston.
Absolutely. True
Rest in
Rest in
legend.
peace to
peace, King.
DMX, man.
Last topic. Superhero logic. I don't know. Did I write it? Who wrote that?
Super what?
Superhero logic. All right, here we go.
What were we talking about again?
Lead us in.
So I just wondered, like, with all these superhero movies, right? Just to get on a lighter topic, we done talked about everything today. Just like you take the Avengers movie, for example, right? Alien
Oh
invasion
no.
comes and they basically destroy downtown New York. Who cleans all that stuff
Oh
up?
yes, here we go.
Who pay? What government contract is out there, right, to be cleaning up all this debris? There are no civilian casualties whatsoever that's reported to anything.
Yeah,
All
like
these
where's their
businesses
memorial?
that get destroyed, who pay?
This is
Like, is
why
this on insurance? That's what I want to know.
this is why people stay in New York so they can clean up superhero messes. Full circle.
Like, they just be sitting back waiting, like, shit bound to pop off someday. And they just cleaning up messes wherever they go. That's just what I like. It's plot holes and like human logic to me in
Yo, I
some of these
think
movies.
something tells me that they use a lot of screen when they do that stuff. A lot of those
Oh
movies
yeah,
too.
No, we
that's a
mean
So it's
like
given,
not.
in
yeah.
actual movies, Eric. I think you missed the topic.
Like,
Oh.
no, I mean,
Actual, like in
Yeah,
the
see,
okay.
That's not T, huh?
no, it's
No, like in the
IC.
actual movie. Like if I was a
If
superhero
this
and
were to
I
happen for real.
used the
Yo,
Empire State Building to smack Godzilla, who cleans that up?
So hold on,
maybe
that's even a better point. Because if you remember the Avengers movie, there's a part where Thor literally latches onto a building and turns it into a giant lightning rod. Nobody died from that. Like it was nobody in that building when that happened in
No,
New York.
they evacuated.
Come
maybe
on.
maybe in between scenes, like between like the end of the battle, and
I
you know
want
how
to
they
hear
have
it.
that scene where it's like, man, that was a crazy
I want to
battle.
hear it.
Like
I want to
get
hear.
cleaned up and
It's
then have
literally a
that
scene
conversation.
where the Hulk is crashing through an office building and people in there pushing paper and he just running and everybody getting out of his way. So I don't want to hear none of that
Yeah, like the
evacuation
first
garbage.
Avengers, there was mad civilians on the streets. Like they were saving
Maybe,
civilians, but there was mad other
maybe,
civilians other than those people they saved.
maybe those people helped clean up after the battle. They were like, I'm gonna do my part. You see something, say something.
There's
Some
no
devil
way.
advocate playing.
There's no way you repair a building that fast.
How do you
And the
know how many
Avengers,
contractors live in New York City?
the Avengers movies are like within 1 or 2 years. Like it's not even like
Maybe
decades
they work
past,
fast.
bro. There's no way. It's no way.
Maybe Tony Stark has Iron Man suits specifically for the cleanup of New York City after every battle.
This is the Batman argument. Plot armor. If Batman has enough prep time, he can do anything. I don't want to hear that.
Oh, I seen an interesting conversation. Who do you think wins, Batman or Black Panther?
Black Panther.
Black Panther.
Hands down.
Black Panther
That's
doesn't
not how
have
you
no
thought this
real
would go, huh?
weaknesses. Like, what is Batman going to do?
Look at his face. That's not how he thought this conversation was going to go.
No, it is. That's how the conversation went. It was like Black Panther will whip
Black
Bruce
Panther
Wayne.
hands down. Bruce Wayne, I don't care. Like, Black Panther is essentially Batman without the tech. He just doesn't use technology nearly as much. And he's richer.
What's Black Panther's weakness?
Plot armor.
I was gonna say something, but,
If Batman has enough prep time, he can do anything. He'll be able to scout and find that fatal flaw in his African fighting weakness.
I mean, Batman kind of killed Superman.
I mean,
okay.
if Black Panther don't have his suit, he ain't shit. In a way, well, not shit.
Like, if he
you
like
say the
gives up
same
the
about
herb,
Batman.
that's a fact.
And Batman has a
suit,
utility belt.
I'm gonna send y'all this TikTok.
Half the shit he did.
He literally talks about like Black Panther without his suit and without the herb. That it was pretty interesting. I was like, I didn't know that because I don't read really comics, and this guy gets like
What,
a
Black
comic
Panther with
nerd.
nothing?
He's kind of talking about yeah, like
Black
he's
Panther
like,
with nothing
even
is
Black
still
Panther
an African
without
warrior.
Yeah, Black Panther was like
Still
he's
like
like
an
even
African
without the
princess,
herb,
like-
Black Panther would fuck Bruce Wayne up.
Yeah,
And I was
like physically. I mean, well, like which Bruce Wayne we talking
It'd
about?
be much closer. It'd be
Because
much
Bruce
closer.
Wayne supposedly knows 500 different forms of karate, taekwondo,
but so
jiu-jitsu.
does
So
Black Panther.
Kung Fu, like knows pressure
no,
points
he
and
don't.
everything.
He don't know all that.
That-
Black Panther doesn't know.
How you know that?
much.
Did you read the comic?
Listen, we're not gonna do this. The Black Panther is a black superhero, so we giving it to Black Panther just because he a black
By
It's a black
superhero.
podcast. Okay.
Fuck that.
That's not fair. Hold on, that's not fair. Because that's like saying just because Falcon is black, he could beat Batman, and that's not going to happen.
Yep,
I think Falcon could be
he
Batman.
can.
No, he can't.
All
Don't
right,
be
now.
that ignorant.
All
He
right.
can.
Y'all getting too crazy.
Yeah, I think he can.
No, he cannot.
No.
Why he can't?
You just
Explain to
told
me why.
You just told me that Batman knows like 500 different forms
With
of
their
martial arts.
suits. With their suits.
Not with his suit. He knows that
Falcon
without
is
his
not being Batman with his suit. You are
Batman
tripping.
ain't got Batman's suit don't do nothing.
The suit doesn't give him those fighting
Batman
powers.
needs a plan. Like Batman don't do nothing.
The
without a
suit
plan.
does
That's
not
wild.
give
I'm not gonna go there.
Batman his fighting powers or
I think
martial
y'all
arts
are
knowledge.
supremely underestimating
It's true.
Batman.
But it is a shield in some ways.
It's a shield.
Batman's
Okay,
suit.
so
It
if
does
you
shield
take
him for some
Batman
stuff.
out of his suit in a fight, you don't think that he's going to beat the Falcon?
Oh no, he's gonna whip the
He
Falcon's ass.
All right,
He's
that's what I'm
gonna
saying.
fuck him up. In a suit,
Nah,
I can't promise you that.
In a suit, I can believe it too. All he's got is wings.
I don't like where this is going.
Yeah,
All
but
he has is
Batman,
wings.
Batman got a cape and he just glides. He don't fly. He just glides. Now what?
You act like the Falcon has to can beat him from afar.
He
That's
can.
not how that works in a fight. Like he has no ranged
He can shoot
weaponry.
stuff from far away. Batman's not bulletproof. I'm just saying.
Hey, Batman dodges a lot faster things than bullets. I've seen it.
Somebody explain
seen
that
it.
to me. How? Where? How? Who trained you for
I've
that?
seen it.
You think
I
Bruce
don't
Lee
know.
can
He's
dodge
got
bullets?
money. I'm not saying he can dodge bullets, but I've seen him escape a lot of different things that's way more dangerous than bullets.
Nah, that's all fake.
You're gonna tell me nah? It's a comic, number one. So technically,
I'm
all
just
this is
saying,
fake.
Falcon go through real life struggles. He's from the hood. That's all I'm saying.
Oh my god!
I think somebody from the hood could kill Batman, but you know.
Oh hell no. Nope. All right, we're going to end that shit
You
right
wildin'.
now. Nigga said I can't
God.
kill Batman.
I
All
quit.
right, that's over.
I ain't doing this no more. I quit.
Any final thoughts?
Any
Play it
final
down.
thoughts? Stay
Play it
woke,
down.
motherfuckers. Stay woke.
Stay woke.
I would say play Stay Woke, but you probably don't have that sound.
Oh, he does.
Stay woke.
On my phone, but not on there. On a computer.
Stay woke.
Ain't got enough.
Nope, not
Stay
working.
woke.
You're looking bad right now.
It's working. I
I
hear
mean,
it.
I hear it. You clicked it a
I
few
don't hear it.
times.
I did because he's deaf.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah,
hear
my
it.
child's trying to leave the house, so I think I need to.
Who's leaving the house?
My child.
Your child is leaving the house?
I think so.
Where's she going? She running away?
No, she's looking for somebody.
What?
What?
Bye. Well, I mean,
You ain't just